probably want to like put one of those things at the beginning of the video of like, this is what you can look forward to in this long rambling bullshit. And then there's this one-armed like hammer guy, and he's like trying to get you, and like that was really difficult. My introduction to gaming, my feelings about Batman, the experience of replaying a game, and the value that that can bring to your life. One of the things I have to get over is like being seen doing this in public, because this feels so lame. But anyway, but I have to hold my arm really way out for it to not look like really weird. Hi, my name is Tyler Twombly, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor, but that doesn't matter because I'm just a guy who has some thoughts about very specific things, and that's it. I am new to gaming and have never really gamed seriously before. But in the last year, I have started playing games, and in the last month or two, I've really like started playing games. And I feel bad about that in a lot of ways, because part of me feels like, I should be doing something better. But I also feel like it's something I missed out on early on in life, because I didn't have like the attention span or the critical thinking skills or the dexterity or something to do it. But I've been getting better at video games. So I started out with like puzzle games and then moved on to some point and clicks. So like Portal, Talos, and then this new point and click game got my interest called No, I Am Not Human. And that was really cool. But I recently started playing the Batman Arkham Asylum games because me and my wife really like Batman. I really like Batman too. But the thing is, the Batman Arkham Asylum games have a lot of like fighting in them, and you have to like actually develop somewhat of a skill set in this type of fighting. It's called free flow combat, and it's really interesting, and it's sort of based on rhythm. My friend Mike says it's called rhythm fighting. So I think that's really intriguing. And I've been really enjoying the story of each of these games. Like there's a narrative arc, although it's not like the most interesting story. It's like, oh, Joker's holding a bunch of hostages. He's got some venom juice or whatever that he's gonna like transform into a giant version of himself or something. And it's like, you have to defeat him at the end of the first game, which came out in like 2010 or something like that. Really interesting for me as a first time, like this was the first game of its kind that I've ever played, where you're like a character walking around and like it's sort of an open world kind of thing. Although Talos is like that, but it was very much focused on the puzzles. And Batman does have puzzles, which is cool, but the puzzles are like really kind of hard. But anyway, the thing about these games, so I played Arkham Asylum, I played it on easy mode, then I played Arkham City, and I played that on easy mode too. Some of the boss battles were pretty hard though. There's this one with the Joker in this warehouse, and there's like 10 guys, and there's a mutant that does this charging thing where he charges through, and he also throws bodies at you and stuff. It's like really disturbing when you think about it. And then there's this one-armed like hammer guy, and he's like trying to get you, and like that was really difficult in Arkham City. And I did eventually do that. I did that like over Christmas break. I was like staying with my mom, and like I was like showing her this game. I was like, hey, this is a game that I'm playing, and it's like really violent. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know, I've been enjoying it. And then like my mom was like imitating like the things that they were saying in the game. It's like I'm gonna grind your bones to dust, like I'm gonna kill you, Batman, and eat your face, and things like these horrible things. So it's pretty bad. My experience that I wanted to talk about here though was with Arkham Origins, which is the third game, but it's a prequel game. So there's Arkham Asylum, takes place in Arkham Asylum, and then Arkham City imagines that there's this big like prison city in the middle of Gotham called Arkham City. And so it's a much bigger open world, but it's a section of city. And then Arkham Origins takes place in Gotham, but it's also an open world. But it's sort of, I think it's bigger in some ways than Arkham City, but I'd have to check that. I am not an expert in any of this stuff because I'm very new to this. But essentially, the experience that I wanted to talk about here is the idea of replaying games. Because I haven't played enough games to replay any game. But I've had this experience with Arkham Origins where I played it on easy mode, and I'm about maybe less than halfway through the story narrative on easy mode in Origins, and it is extremely easy. And it's I'm realizing that I don't want it to be that easy. I want there to be a little bit of a challenge. The funny thing with Arkham Origins on easy mode is that all of the fights are very, very easy, but the boss battles are extremely difficult. There's this just really super below the line easy, and then it's boss battle. It's oh my god, it takes me 30 tries to get through one of these boss battles. It's crazy. In Origins, your first boss battle is against Killer Croc. It's not a very challenging boss battle. You just kind of try not to get hit, essentially, and then it's pretty easy to defeat him. But then the next boss battle is crazy with Deathstroke, and that took me many, many attempts. But because of this easy mode being very, very, very easy, I'm feeling not as much of a sense of satisfaction, especially with the stealth elements of this game. Because in both Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, when you have to choose a stealth takedown method because you're gonna get shot, right? There's a bunch of guys in a warehouse, and they all have machine guns or something, and you have to stealth take them out one at a time. That's part of the thrill of this game for me. But if you get caught and you get shot a bunch of times, it's not gonna do any damage. I'm realizing this is not as I can play the levels as if I was going to have a risk of dying, but for some reason not having that there is making the game a little less fun. So I actually restarted the game on normal mode, but I'm also banking on the boss battles to be the same level of difficulty because they're already very difficult. So if I can't get through the boss battles, I guess I'm just gonna continue to play on easy mode. But I'm really far into the game, and I'm wondering how long it's gonna take me. But the point I'm trying to make, and I am coming around to it, is that I didn't plan on replaying this game. And I'm realizing that experiencing the story again is actually very enjoyable. And so I think sometimes I have felt sad at the end of one of these games because I feel the story is not that long, but I still think that it might be worth replaying it, maybe in a harder mode, at least with Origins, and maybe even with Asylum, because that's much a smaller scope of a game. Yeah, so it might be worth it to go back and do that again, and maybe find some more Joker trophies and or Riddler trophies and stuff like that. But I think the thing that I'm realizing about replaying this game, and I only replayed it I've only replayed like an hour of any game, not to mention this one. So in that hour, I realized that I was enjoying the story. I was picking up stuff that I didn't pick up before, and I was actually enjoying the story unfolding, even though it was supposed to be a mystery. Even though it's not, I know what's gonna happen, it's still feeling like an exciting mystery that I'm participating in. And in the concept, hold on, I'm gonna cross the street. Since this is a long rambling video about video games and life and stuff, I probably want to put one of those things at the beginning of the video of this is what you can look forward to in this long rambling bullshit. So I might do that. So yeah, I'm really finding that I'm surprised by this process of replaying this game that I just played too. It's not I played it months ago. It's I just played these levels. But yeah, looking forward to playing the rest of the game. With these games, there are additional stories. So with Arkham City, there's this whole additional storyline that you can play, and what happens to Harley Quinn as she reacts to the events of Arkham City main storyline. So there's a lot of different ways that you can interact with these games and extend your time with them and spend more time in the world. And additionally, for me, someone who's never really played games, and also never really a guy who read novels, I was not drawn to fiction when I was younger, And so I have started reading more novels in like my adulthood than I ever did when I was a child, or a teen even. Like all through high school and college, I was pretty much into nonfiction. And that was, I felt that was more of a direct kind of knowledge seeking. But I mean, I've realized the power of story and metaphor and things like that in my adulthood, and I've really enjoyed a lot of fiction. I tend toward science fiction kind of things, or things that have an element of science fiction, and Batman certainly does. Batman is a sort of a futuristic science fiction-y, or science fiction adjacent. My wife and I were talking about that, and how, of course, all these gadgets and like technology that just doesn't exist today just being available for all kinds of things, usually some kind of either Batman gadget or some sort of weird crazy law enforcement thing. Just the fact that we have a Mr. Freeze, the technology level of just Mr. Freeze's suit alone, to be able to do that in any feasible way that's a possible future. Not a likely future, but a possible one. So yeah, so there's a science fiction element. But yeah, so just participating in a world and actually doing something akin to true escapism, because things like this is a form of, well, I guess creativity, but like emoting, and rather than experiencing and intellectualizing. Playing these games, even though like the plot isn't like that interesting, as I was saying before, of like the big plot points are kind of like goofy and stupid. Like Killer Croc tried to kill you in the sewer. Okay, great. That's not really a plot point. But in Arkham Origins, they're really leaning into the detective element, which I think is cool. Even though you're not really putting together the case, he's doing that for you. It's still pretty cool. It's like you're watching it, you're participating, and it's kind of cool. There's this sort of like crime scene replay technology. Again, a technology that doesn't exist today. But yeah, I guess all comics are sci-fi, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know, someone already thought about all this, I'm sure. So I don't care. I'm thinking about it now. So whatever, shut up. I don't care. Spending time in these worlds, sort of basking in certain ideas. I mean, that's what we do when we talk, right? We're talking about something, we're basking in an idea, okay? Or in a set of ideas. And that's enjoyable. Just to spend time, like, oh, I'm just like swimming around in that. I had a friend from college who said about that, said this similar thing about a certain author that they were into at the time, who was sort of described as being like kind of challenging and like esoteric and like inaccessible. They were describing it not as like, don't try to understand it, just experience it, just wade in the tide. And so, and enjoy that experience for what it is. So my experience with the Batman games and replaying a little bit has been really interesting, and maybe I'll do an update to this video at a later time. So those are my feelings on my introduction to gaming, my feelings about Batman Arkham games in general, and the experience of replaying a game and the value that can bring to your life, just like rereading a book and enjoying that and basking in those ideas and those images in your head. So yeah, I'm gonna get back to my house and say hi to my wife.